I'll just say it. It's absolutely ridiculous that we went to an unrestricted 1.5 miles and they qualified wide open. What in the world do we need to do to get more horsepower? This screams horsepower to me. This is not a good scenario. And I've heard all the things about different manufacturers and different this and different that. I hear all those stories, but I haven't seen it. Put some damn power in the cars.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go on. California's Kevin Harvick does it. Tree making right there. You're the man.
Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by Echo Park Automotive and NASCAR on Fox. I'm Kevin Harvick. She's Kaitlyn Vincie, and he's Mamba Smith, dressed in green.
Yes, sir.
I like your sponsor. I know.
We forgot it's St. Patty's Day.
Yeah,
because we're filming this on a Monday, of course.
Yeah, and I think for me, I have a bad habit of not really giving a crap about holidays. So. And when it requires dressing to be appropriate for the holiday, I really could give two craps.
I obviously didn't either. All black.
And I'm too busy to realize that it's a holiday.
Well,
Kevin is a busy guy.
Yeah,
but hey, he's got it.
I've been waiting 2 years to wear this.
Green
2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got it like last year sometime.
Can you not wear it anywhere?
No, I can, but like this is really it. I don't know. It fits what's going on.
Bush Light.
Yeah, no, that's I thought about it.
It's a good fit.
Yeah,
it is a good fit
in a couple scenarios. So good job.
Thanks.
He's got big plans tonight out on St. Patty's, right?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Not big plans.
No, but there's some Irish bars right around Charlotte.
You said as a Vermont man that this New England
holiday, yeah, the New England,
important.
St. Patrick's Day is big for New England.
Makes
really?
sense.
Well, yeah, just because it's so big in Boston, and so it trickles out to the rest of New England. So.
There you go. Will you be celebrating?
I mean, in that part of the country, you don't have a lot to do. You got to create stuff, right?
You're not lying. Not a lot to do. There's still snow like 3 feet on the ground in Vermont right now.
What?
There was snow everywhere out there this weekend around the mountains.
Where, in Vegas?
In Vegas, yeah. Not all the surrounding mountains, but the higher elevations had a lot of snow.
And it rained. I cannot believe that. I mean, it never fails. When we come there, it rains.
It did. Yeah, the weather was awful the week leading up to the race. And I got there on Thursday for the West Coast Hall of Fame dinner, and it was windy, it was cold, it was raining, and that was how it was all week. So definitely got a lot better as the weekend went on, but not for the truck race.
If you want weather, just have a NASCAR race in your city. We'll bring the weather for you every time.
Well, we have a new edition of Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour on tap. We encourage the closers to subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, rate the 5 stars on the show, leave a word, of course.
Yeah, leave a word.
So we've got a lot to talk about leaving Las Vegas, because this was probably one of the best events of the year, I thought, personally. Preview Homestead, and I know you got your sips.
Yeah, we got sips, and make sure you guys go to Harvick Happy Pod for all the IG, all the YouTubes, all that stuff. You know where to find us.
All the socials.
All the socials. Holla at your boys.
Of course, you were there. I've been wanting to ask you, what was it like meeting Morgan Freeman?
He was very subdued. But the best part about meeting Morgan Freeman was the fact that somebody had a better voice than Chris Myers. And we got to put Chris Myers and Morgan Freeman's head-to-head at pre-race in our interview. And myself and Clint and Jamie were definitely on the same page to make sure that it was Morgan against Chris. And we were going to set that up. And we did. And he did not. Morgan delivered. He definitely put Myers in his place, because Clint asked Morgan Freeman if he got up in the morning and said hello to himself, because that's what Myers tells us, that he gets up in the morning and says hello to himself. So I thought that was, this is true. Yeah, this is true stuff. And Morgan Freeman basically told him that when you have a voice like this, you don't need to talk to yourself.
Oh my God.
So that was
the pre-race interview with Morgan Freeman versus Chris Myers was pretty entertaining.
He made it to the drivers' meeting, and he was meeting the drivers with Bubba, and Bubba was introducing him to like Cindric and William, I think. And Cindric reaches his hand out to shake his hand, and Morgan looks at him. Don't ever touch me again. Like, it was so funny. There was a clip of it. It was hilarious. I love it.
It was cool to have his presence there, though. Shawshank Redemption is one of the best movies of all time. So there you go.
Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. I thought his command was not very good.
It was very, what you said, subdued.
I think he was going cinematic, stoic.
Drivers.
Start your engines.
Start your engines.
Just do it. Do what I say. That's what it sounded. That's what it felt like.
I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that exciting.
Yeah, he kind of told you guys he was going to just do it casual.
Yeah. It was casual.
Yeah.
My mom rates those every week.
Really?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my mom rates them.
What'd she rate that one?
I'm not going to say it wasn't a good rating.
See?
Wasn't
low
good.
rating.
This is the show. Like, if it was crap, just say it's
my
crap.
my mom rated that a 0.
Yeah.
A 0.
I was right. I was right with her. I didn't think it was very good. Just kind of came across as, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
That's how it felt to me.
Okay.
It kind of felt like a
if
job.
you're going to be the Grand Marshal and you're going to give the command,
Bring the heat.
You better
Lean into
bring
it.
the heat.
Yeah.
Bring the heat. Speaking of bringing the heat, you brought it on Word of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
I thought.
Listen, so closers, I asked for help because he was busting my balls last week about them not being hard enough. So we dug deep. Let's roll the tape.
I'm still blown away by the reciprocity from the 19 team of Chase Briscoe and that pit stop. I've not seen the 20 car.
Say it one more time.
I am blown away.
Seen anybody
Say it one more
pitting
time.
somebody else's
One more
stall.
time.
Reciprocity.
I'm blown away by your thesaurus.
Yeah.
Yeah, you, Mike, you were the only one that could help him say that word, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling.
Meanwhile,
Maybe he was pulling in there for that spring sale.
Honestly, that might be my favorite part at the end.
spring
the spring
sale,
sale.
yes.
But
Good job.
yeah, I'm shocked because when I told the group that was the word, everyone was like,
excited.
"Oh, I don't know about this one."
I was excited because I was like, that's a KV kind of word. I'd be into that.
I struggle with it. I can't do it.
Can you say it?
Reciprocity.
Yes.
Like,
There you go.
I was nervous saying it the whole
Can
time.
you say it twice?
No, I'm not going to say it twice.
You just said it once.
Yeah, I've
you're
got
gonna
it.
be done with it.
We're done with
That's
it.
my strategy.
Yeah.
That's why I never said it again.
I could tell. No, you did.
I did say it twice.
Yeah, you
You
kind of
just couldn't hear it
down.
because Clint kept talking.
Well, his voice carries.
Yeah.
Which the fans called me out about the thesaurus thing.
What do you mean?
They remember last week we were
Yeah.
talking about it, and I don't know, what did I even say? That it wasn't.
I said
hesitated
something about
or
you
something.
looking into the thesaurus, which I still
Thesaurus,
can't say.
that's it.
And you said no, it's a dictionary, and I'm like,
Well, and then someone just on the broadcast said it. Was it Mike Joy?
That was
Mike
Mike
Joy.
Joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have learned if I want to say something correct, I go to Mike Joy and I don't tell Clint. So I went to Mike Joy and he gave me some tips on how to say it correctly. And he said, replace all the C's with an S.
Oh,
that's a nice little trick.
And it made it, and that's how I wrote it. And that's how it came across so easy
Reciprocity.
because it put it into layman's terms for me to be
True.
able to pronunciate it correctly.
There you go.
able to what?
Stop
Pronounce it correctly.
Oh, pronounce it correctly.
What did I say?
Pronunciate.
Pronounce it. Oh my God.
It doesn't matter. Okay, guys,
Pronounce
it's a
it
Monday.
correctly. Golly.
And it's fine. You did great on the word of the week, which was the whole
That's
point
what
of
they're
this
looking
site.
for,
That's
though.
what
He
we're
was
looking-
hoping that I screwed something like that up.
This is a
Okay.
great show. I'm ready. I'm locked in.
we're
Let's roll
off
the
to a
dice in
good start.
Vegas.
Okay, so I think there's a lot to digest here from this race, but I want to start with the winner, obviously.
Yeah.
Josh Berry. I love a first-time winner in the Cup Series. And this was not a fluke, an earned win, in my opinion, on
Absolutely.
a tough racetrack where a lot of our top contenders had issues, and this team executed.
And even when those top contenders were in position to run up front, I mean, he was in the mix from, fourth to eighth right there all day and kept himself in contention. And they had some adversity to overcome as well. And that happened at Phoenix. And that's the thing that I like about the good teams. They overcome the adversity. He had the speed in his car to be able to continue driving it aggressively and putting himself in position to have good restarts, and wound up just driving around Suarez there at the end with a way better car. So this really proves that hard work and determination can get you to the Cup Series still.
I love that, yep.
We hear so much about, you got to have money, you got to do this, you got to do that. Well, Josh Berry worked hard, kept himself in position to have the next ride. Dale Jr. was obviously really, really good and patient with Josh Berry with his late model program, his Xfinity program. Big part of helping us get Josh into the 4-car, replacing it. But my point is, when he had the opportunities, he wound up being competitive and putting himself in positions to win races. And winning races is what gets you to the next level, especially when you don't have a pot of money to lean on. But the good drivers and wind up at the good teams. And Josh has been through some terrible scenarios. I mean, he had to fill in for Chase Elliott. He did really well in that car. And he mentions in Victory Lap interview just how much Alan Gustafson meant to him in that particular situation to be successful. And then you saw the exact opposite of it when he went to Stewart-Haas Racing. and in a position that is, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It
was just terrible. It was awful. It was an awful situation.
Yeah. And so, the expectations of filling in with Rodney and going into a championship car and winning car at the 4 car just turned into, how do we get to the end of the season? But in the end, he's received experience in multiple situations, and one that was great for him at the 9 car, filling in for Chase. The other at the 4 car, taking over that seat in what he thought was a long-term future turned into a short-term disaster, and he dealt with it. And now I think he's well prepared with the amount of races that he's run. He's got a great crew chief. He's got the Wood brothers and John Wood, their son, supporting him in every way possible. He's a great fit for who they are as an organization, and with the Penske backing, with Joey and Ryan and the championships that have been won there, it's just a very structured environment, and he's run well every week that we've been to the racetrack.
Yeah, the 21 car, the Wood brothers, like they're not a satellite team anymore. This is not they're just over here and in the field, and we're keeping them here because of legacy. They're here to win races like they just did this weekend and compete. And they've been competing at a high level all year long. And you're watching it and it's like, well, it's Bowman Gray. And then it's like, well, it's a super speedway. And then, you get to a road course. He doesn't have much road course experience. Yeah, I need to work on that. But he comes back to Vegas where you expect the Team Penske cars to be fast, and he was just as fast as his teammates were and got the job done. I think you look at it, and he's one of the guys that keeps the lifeblood of the short track racing going. When the short track racing guy wins, whether it's him or like Lane Riggs last year, Butterbean has won at Daytona, it just infuses so much energy back in the short track world because everyone looks at it like, oh no, now you can see it again. Like that, the picture looks a little bit more clear on how to get there, because if Josh can do it, and he's like 34, I think right now. So it took him a little while. It took him a while to get there. That's the opposite of what we've seen with a lot of the other guys. So hats off to Josh getting it done. And, that adversity that he's had to face between jumping into Hendrick cars or jumping into Stuart Haas.
Prepared him well.
It does. And he was around winners. Like, even though they weren't like winning, they were winning organizations or winning people. Yeah. And that matters for sure.
Very cool moment for Wood brothers. Their first win on a 1.5 miles since 1993.
That's crazy.
That was a little bit of a crazy
just
stat.
creeping right up to it. Just had to take a little time to get it all
straight. Just a little time. Yeah. That's fine. But they checked the box now.
The Blaney one was at Pocono, so that one I guess doesn't count as like a 1.5 miles. But
no.
Yeah. And really, that's probably this stretch of races over the first 5 weeks. I guess you can throw the Clash in there. 6 weeks, six times that we've seen Josh Berry and the Wood brothers together. I mean, it looks like it did when Blaney was in the car.
It looks good.
Yeah. It hasn't been great in between that, but it looks like it did while Ryan was driving the car.
Yep.
Josh is obviously part of your management company and the different drivers that you represent. When did you first notice him on the map? Do you recall when it was?
Well, it was a conversation between Dale Jr. and myself as to how do we wanted to put him in the 4 car.
Right.
And so myself and Rodney and everybody at Stuart Haas kind of left it up to us as to who the candidates should be that were presented to put it in a car. So I started talking to Dale about how to go about this, and I wanted to make sure that he wouldn't be mad if we went and talked to Josh, because he was driving Chevrolet, he was driving for Dale. So started talking to Dale about Josh's scenario and trying to put him in the 4 car. And Dale is. There's not a bigger Josh Berry supporter out there than Dale Jr. I mean, Josh has been a part of their family, for a number of years and had, some amazing opportunities and with the late models and Xfinity cars. And that's the biggest reason that he's where he is because of Dale and Kelly and the position that they were able to help Josh Berry get into. Now, Josh did his part by winning races.
Winning a lot.
And this is a guy, when he came to drive our late model cars, he worked on them every day.
Oh, that's cool.
And prepared those cars himself every day. They went to the racetrack. I mean, he was the biggest reason in the shop that they were getting prepared like they were, because he could do it all himself. Yep. So, so Josh has had a lot of support. We're fortunate to be a part of his ride and transition into being a Cup Series winner. And I think, but in the end, his biggest supporter is Dale Earnhardt Jr. And that's fun to be able to have that sounding block to lean on.
Very deserving, very popular win, I thought, across the industry. Your Victory Lap interview with Josh Berry is available now. What stood out to you from talking to him since he's won?
Well, he's a pretty even keel guy.
He is.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that.
Keel guy.
Steady Eddie.
And I think that the thing that sticks out to me, I did the West Coast Hall of Fame dinner on Thursday, and first person I saw was Roger Penske, and that was the first thing that we talked about. Hey, what do you think of Josh Berry and his situation? And seems like everything's going really good. And he's like, Kevin, we couldn't be happier with the scenario that we have and the performance that we've had to start the year. We just had some things not go our way, but he basically told me that they were going to win races if they kept that up. And lo and behold, they go out and win the race on that week. But I think that just hearing him talk about everything that he went through in a very brief amount of time that he went through with the 4-car and talking about the 9-car situation and how different those things were. And then just going to the Wood Brothers organization and being open, those guys being so open-armed to welcome him in the door. And now it just clicked right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part, is how fast it clicked with the group that they've assembled.
I don't think any of us had them winning this early. We thought that they could win.
Well, he saved my fantasy team this week. I had him on my fantasy team. My fantasy team, it was half of it struggled, but he took us right over the top, because I don't know how many people had Josh Berry on their DraftKings fantasy team this weekend.
And you made a point about the playoffs. Obviously, one of the best parts about winning is you move on to the postseason. And you said, hey, he could be a threat.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the playoffs, the first round, I think it's Darlington, Bristol is in there, and maybe Gateway, I forget exactly, but Darlington, Bristol. So you have a short track in there that's his bread and butter. Now we know that he can get it done on 1.5 miles. Now Darlington is a bear of 1.5 miles, but I feel confident he'll be fine.
It's almost 1.5 miles.
Yeah, almost 1.5 miles.
Close.
Yeah. Close.
Yeah.
That little bit of in.
1.33 miles,
right
in case
there,
you're wondering.
Right there. And then we got, you got New Hampshire, which, is a great track for Team Penske anyway. And I think any track that you have off throttle time, Josh Berry and braking, Josh Berry's going to be good at.
Well, you say that though, and we just went to Vegas and they qualified wide open.
Well, that too.
And the throttle time was pretty high.
Yeah,
so
that's fair. But he's good at short tracks.
You're looking at me like you want to just go ahead. Just go ahead, Kevin. You're I'll just say it. It's absolutely ridiculous that we went to an unrestricted 1.5 miles and they qualified wide open. What in the world do we need to do to get more horsepower? This screams horsepower to me. This is not a good scenario. And I've heard all the things about different manufacturers and different this and different that. I hear all those stories, but I haven't seen it. Put some damn power in the cars. Wide open qualifying at an unrestricted 1.5 mile racetrack is dumb.
There you go. That didn't take long.
Listen, I'm here. I think it's to the point where we just want to see it, right? Like we know we can do it.
Let me ask you something.
Just see it.
Let me ask you something. If your shoes gave you blisters on your foot and they felt uncomfortable all the time, would you keep putting your same shoes on?
No, I would not.
I
don't know why we keep putting the same shoes on. Why can't we just fix the damn problem? We've spent millions of dollars on aerodynamics, and now we're qualifying wide open. They made the left side tire that much softer, and they're just hammer down.
Digging.
Okay, so let's move on to another topic.
Give me some more power.
There you go.
Tune them up. How much power you want, Kev?
I want as much as you'll give me. Just give me anything. Anything would be a step in the right direction. Okay. Let's take a step in the right direction, please.
A lot of people were taking a step in the wrong direction, and I'm referring to pit road, which I was not anticipating this was going to be as much of an issue for as many teams as it was, between speeding penalties and loose tires and all the issues. I want to first go to something that I thought was absolutely incredible, and it was Christopher Bell's team realizing that the tire was not fully tightened.
Yep.
And heads up driving by Chris, heads up crew chiefing by Adam Stevens to have him pull into the 19 pit box and have those guys tighten it. How does all that go down? Because I know the crew chiefs have their own channel, so they obviously, James Small is figuring it out, what's going on. But you had like 6 seconds to make that all come together.
Well, I have to admit that I've never been through this scenario. I've
Yeah.
never had this conversation in my life to stop in somebody else's pits. And I thought we did a pretty good job at dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But this is pretty heads up. And when you see the fact that the crew chief was able to tell him in the amount of time that he needed to be able, and Christopher able to compute what he was saying in his head, to get out of line. It was pretty chaotic.
He was on the far right.
He was on the far right. And it was pretty chaotic to get himself in a position and find a teammate's pit stall.
With a box that you don't know, like a sign you don't look for.
So, I mean, it's within the rules. It's a tail end of the longest line for pitting outside the box. But I didn't know that you could have another team actually pit your car. And I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's better than the wheel falling off.
For sure.
But
what about the guy who only has one car? Is that fair to the guy that only has one car that doesn't have a teammate to stop in their box? Because I don't think it is.
Well, I guess you could, I guess the way it's written or how it goes, they could pull into anyone's box as long as you can communicate to
that would be
somebody,
tough,
right?
though, like,
I mean, it would be tough, but like, as long as you
You think, I mean, every time I stopped in somebody else's box, there was usually a
you were
fight.
mad.
they threw a hammer at you. I mean,
Yeah, they were throwing hammers
Get
at me or
up.
something to get out of the box. So, I mean, if Chase Elliott decides he's going to pull into Chase Briscoe's box, is it okay? Or is he just there for the sale?
I got to, he would
Spring
be there
sale.
for the sale.
He's there for the spring sale.
I don't think anyone on the 19 is going to touch I don't think that.
All right. So now every team is going to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Every team is
that's
going to
where it
have
leads to.
that plan now. So now it's a different conversation, right? Because it happened once. And is it fair?
It's safe.
Safer for sure.
For
I
sure.
agree with the safer piece of
Is
it. And it's better to not have the wheel fall off. But is it fair? Because in the end, it has to be fair.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure that'll spur a whole conversation on that.
Yeah, I don't.
But
It's
do
not
we-
fair. Well, at the end of it, it's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. The answer is no, it's not fair.
Yeah, because, I don't know. Should you have to?
But
we don't
you-
need more rules
No.
because I'd be like, I think we should create the Done Committee, like the Department of NASCAR Efficiency. I think we should create this committee, and then we should go in and get rid of a whole bunch of regulations right off.
Oh wait,
the bat.
you have
So
a
he had a
real,
name for
wait.
it. I know you dropped that in there so smooth. Done.
The Done Committee.
Yeah.
When
hang
did this come
What
about?
is it again?
Department
we might have
of
created
No efficiency.
Department of NASCAR Efficiency.
I said Department of No Efficiency. My bad. That's not what I meant. It came out wrong.
And I think the first thing I would do is I'm going to talk about the possibility of more rules, but the first thing we should do is talk about having less rules. We should have less regulation.
Okay.
And in a lot of these departments, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like this whatever they call it, provisional for the super world-class driver, trying to invite people to get to come to do the series. I think it should be that when we have to go make more rules, if you have to make more rules about something, you need to reconsider the initial rule.
Yeah.
So this is in one of those categories. If we have to go make a rule for the rule, we need to think about the original rule.
Yeah.
So what does the original scenario of this moment need to be? Is it fair? Is it
pit in someone
fair
else's box.
that a 2-car team only has one choice and a 4-car team has 3 choices?
Well, and what if the pit box is already behind you?
Yeah. And what if the pit box is behind you? So I don't want the wheel to fall off, but it's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
I
'cause
guess
still
if
get
you
the
realize
penalty.
you haven't tightened them all up, like you're just gonna
Stop and back up.
right or just I don't know.
Well,
like,
sometimes
maybe
they
you
don't
have
realize
the
it
option.
until you're all the way down pit road.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is a great debate, and I can't wait to see where this goes because it's not fair, but it is safer.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many other people are going to be to execute it the way they did.
Oh, it's
to your point, like the way that they
way better.
executed it was like flawless.
No, that's going to be the norm now. So the norm is going to be, hey, you got a loose wheel. Stop in the 5
know
pit
where
box.
know where your other teammates' pit boxes are.
Yeah. But is that? I mean, when you don't have as many choices, it's not fair.
Now this we could probably debate this for a while. One point I was trying to make, similar to what you were saying, is just this team being able to think that quickly and the driver reacting, crew chief. I thought that was pretty impressive.
It was
That's
pretty
a
impressive
championship
because everybody
type caliber.
Absolutely, 100%. The biggest kudos goes to the 20 team and the things that they did to execute and expose this conversation.
Yeah.
And it happened quick, and it's obviously a conversation that they have had. So I don't know. I mean, to get the wheel on. So what if I go down there and didn't get my car full of gas and stop and put gas in it?
Put gas in someone else's.
Yeah.
You go to the tail end, but because there is a penalty, right? Because you're pitting outside. But that's it. But
what happens when you put gas in the car? Now it's not for a wheel falling off, but that's okay too.
Yeah, the way it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, now we're in a scenario where the rule have to be discussed, and what's fair is to just say your team can pit your car.
That's it.
Because that's who's on your roster. Yeah. What's the point of having the roster?
Also, if you know that the tire, they knew it was loose, so they if that's most of the scenario, right? They know, the guys know, you're gonna roll back around. It's under caution. If the tire comes off under caution, it's not a good situation.
Maybe Dunn needs to have the open pit stall at the end, and Dunn committee can tighten the tires at the end of pit road for anybody who has a loose wheel.
No.
How do you get to be on that group?
Yeah, you could be on the you could be head of the Dunn pit crew.
No, I'm good. Let's go back. Someone got hit on pit road this week. I'm good. I don't want it.
No, you wouldn't have any pressure on you. It's like, hey, you pull up. It's like go to the drive-thru. You pull up to, what do you need? They lean in the window. What's up? I got loose left front. Can you tighten it for me?
Also, take a little wedge out of the left rear for me while you're doing it.
I'm low on gas. They didn't get all the gas in. Can you fill it up for me? I only have to go to the tail end of the longest line. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. We're fast enough.
Yeah.
You stunned me with that Dunn thing.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
Oh, yeah. I have a long list.
Okay.
I have a long list of stuff.
Have you presented Dunn to them?
What we should do? We should present something for the Dunn committee every week on this show. What is our, this week it would be, the Dunn committee would like to submit pitting in somebody else's pit box this week. So we'd like to put that up for conversation to talk about whether this regulation needs more regulation or less.
So we're the start of the
Dunn votes for less.
We're the start of the Dunn committee.
Yeah. So right now we're going to present Dunn with what it takes to get some more damn horsepower in the car, and whether we need an extra pit stall to tighten somebody else's lug nuts. It's on a different team. Jesus Christ.
My.
There we go. We got two of them.
There you go. All right. I got to try and get this back on track from where we were.
I'm done with it.
You're done. Were you surprised though at the amount of issues we saw from speeding to the wheels?
And really from, guys that you look at Denny Hamlin, you look at Joey Logano sliding through his box at the end of the race to take himself out of position. Ryan Blaney's team was a mess. During the race, every time he'd get close to the front, they had a wheel loose or caution would come out, whatever the situation was. So this has just become the norm, and I think it really comes down to the jack being dropped as quick as possible, because the pit stops are 8.5 seconds, 9 seconds,
and the jacks drop way easier than that.
Then those dowels don't line up, and when the dowels don't line up, the wheel doesn't get tight, and it's a timing thing. And these guys are all the pit crews. They do a great job, but they're right on the ragged edge. And Kyle Busch hurt himself again. This has kind of been the MO of this team over the last couple of years. When they have good days going, this week was on him. He had a speeding penalty, and then the wheel fell off.
Yep.
So it's just this is when the wheel fell off right here, came loose, split it in half, and off it goes. So. Taking yourself out of contention. We saw the 48 pit under green. We saw Josh Berry have to back up and tighten some wheels. So we saw more cars than we could show and keep track of with the pit road penalties and things that were happening. But it was just constant over and over and over. And now it's week after week after week that you're seeing all these things happen, and have to be able to you have to be able to dot the I's and cross the T's. And usually it's that 22 team that's dotting the I's and crossing the teams. Crossing the T's. And this week in contention with a 7th or 8th place car to win the race, and slid through the box.
Right.
So it's all those moments.
It was all those moments. And Ty Gibbs and Chase Briscoe, two of the teams that had issues. Chase with the loose wheel, Ty speeding, was in his pit stall backwards at one point after he had that contact with Hocevar. It has just not gone well for the two of them. Those two teams we identified at the beginning of the year needed to come out strong. They'd had the crew chief changes, all the different things. And it's crazy because you got Christopher Bell winning 3 in a row, and then those two just lagging behind.
And I think that this is the first weekend. I mean, all the Gibbs cars were not as fast as they needed to be. At one point, 3 of the last 5 cars were 54.
On the bottom of the pilot.
11 and the 19. Now 19 had a wheel fly off. 11 he had the speeding penalty, but he never really passed a car. So, they definitely had some issues. Now they got themselves better. I think that the 54 finished like 22nd, and I don't know where the 11 finished, but he finished way better than they were running at that period of time during the race. And 19 made up 4 laps with everything that was happening from their penalties and the wheel flying off and all those things. So I think he finished 17th or somewhere right around there. So it's Ty was in sprint car this weekend. Had a big tumble in the sprint car on
the high limit race.
His high limit debut. Made the race though.
He did.
That's a pretty big accomplishment in itself. I think that the 19 has been super hit or miss with everything that they've had going on and working through. I thought that with Daytona and I thought at the Clash, but it's not firing.
Even stage to stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not only the race.
I think the biggest thing in those scenarios is, hey, let's just have a day wherever we finish, wherever we don't screw anything up, right? Like if we're going to run 25th, let's just run 25th all day and have good pit stops, have good restarts, do all those things that it takes to complete the day. And then let's come on home and talk about what we need to do next week. And let's go next week and wherever we run, wherever we unload, let's get down pit road correctly. Let's get all the tires tight and let's not make any mistakes all day and come on back home and see if we can do that 2 or 3 times in a row.
Sheets.
Back to the basics.
Back to the basics. And, I think that there's so much pressure on these guys to go out and win. I think he's kind of in that same boat now of kind of burying himself. They got out of the penalty. And I think that was obviously fair. But I think being able to get some consistency is how you get back on track. And that's where both of those teams need to be. And I think that, the 11 team has done that as well. I mean, he had a speeding penalty that kind of took him out of contention this week. But in the end, they keep themselves up there by just doing all the little things right.
Yeah.
You referenced Ryan Blaney and just kind of how his weekend went. Started out in practice, obviously, with an incident there. But with 72 to go, we saw a pretty big pileup happening as a result of him. He at first kind of blamed the 20 of Christopher Bell, but then his interview, he took some ownership for this. What did you see here?
Well, this started going into turn 1, and it started between the 99 and the 2. The 99 was under the 2 car. And the 2 just drove over his nose, and Daniel lifted. They barely touched. He drove on the apron, came back up the racetrack, and it stacked that whole bottom lane up.
Yep.
By the time they got to the exit at 2, they were right here, 4 wide. You see the 99 right behind them. And I think, to me, that looks like the 12 was paying attention to the 20 coming up the racetrack because the 20 was coming up the racetrack. I don't know if he realized there were 3 cars out there. I think Ryan knew there were 2 cars out there, but I think he was probably paying attention, trying to figure out how to keep from getting run over by the 20, and they just ran out of room.
Right.
I think that's just one of those scenarios where the stack up started in 1, and by the time they got to, this was the second wreck, by the way.
Yeah.
Stenhouse was spinning out below them, and that was all a result from that stack up on the bottom lane. So there were a lot of things that happened previous to this wreck that got all that piled up, and nobody was lifting at this point. But I honestly I don't think the 20 was going to come up all the way, but he was not giving them any room.
Yeah.
And Ryan, I think, was watching the 20 car and just wound up in the front bumper of the car on the outside of him, and they crashed. So.
Yeah, you could feel it. And then that took out Bubba too. I was like you guys were talking about, the 54, the 1911, all crew chief changes and moving some pieces around. Bubba had some pieces move around, but they have seemed to be clicking.
Absolutely.
They've been fast, and they took the lead, led some laps this week. So they're doing all of him and Charles and Nike are doing all the things that they need to do for that 23 team. And then with Ryan, I agree. I think he was just trying to give himself some room and gave himself some room and also ran out of the room.
Yeah.
And it just sucked for them because they had battled back from all the things.
They had the best Ford.
Fast as hell. They were digging. And I think about last year when people are like, oh, no one can pass. And like we saw like over 30 lead changes at this race.
Most lead changes.
Ryan came from 30 whatever, basically twice.
Yep.
And 2 laps down, like all those things. That's why I think, I'm going to say it right now, I think the 12 will be in your Final Four again this year.
Well, he's definitely,
there you go.
They definitely have a little bit of frustration to go along with the speed of their car because in the end you have to be able to get the results that go with this. And you look at the 22 car. I mean, they've led laps, been in contention, and have absolutely
nothing to show for it.
To show for it in the results column. Now, in the points column, they're scoring stage points, they're leading laps, they're putting themselves in position to overcome that. And the part that you hate as a driver and is frustrating as a driver for Blaney and Logano, and especially yesterday, was they had cars that probably could have been in contention to win the race. Logano had control of the race and had the mistake. And Blaney, I mean, he just had so many things happen that were not his fault.
Yeah.
Had the practice crash where the right rear tire blew out. Yep. The pit road issues. And then, he definitely could have done something different to present this problem. But I think that was more of a racing deal and everybody running out of room more than anything. But in the end, he did drive over the guy on his right side and the crash happened. But I don't think it was anything egregious.
No, that was a racing. That was just a racing deal. But he's been in the top 10 every week. Even Coda, he had driven up to the top 10, and then they got a big stack up, and he kind of got
Blaney's car
around.
was lights out in practice fast. It was so fast that they were questioning if the air was leaking out of the right rear tire, and that's why it was so fast.
Really?
But when it started the race, I mean, he drove straight to the front and wound up in a position to be able to put himself in position to win. He scored stage points in the second, in the second stage.
He ended up sixth in that stage.
So I mean, he had a car plenty capable of competing up there, and really the players were Larson, Byron. The one car wound up doing 2-tire strategy at the end of the second stage, and it worked for him. He went from 11th to 1st and wound up 3rd in that second stage. And then he got on the same tire cycle as everybody else, and so that strategy worked for him. Austin Dillon and Michael McDowell went from the pole to the mid pack pretty quickly. Those guys tried 2 tires as well, but Ross had clean air. And when he was able to get that clean air to take off, the other guys were in dirty air and just went straight to the back. Yeah. But that strategy paid off for him, put himself in position. And then at the end, that strategy got all messed up. And the guys who were the fast guys, at the end of stage 2 wound up buried in the back of the field.
It was a very eventful and very interesting race out in Las Vegas. Next up for NASCAR is Homestead-Miami Speedway, another 1.5-mile racetrack, and we're going to relive some of the good memories that Kevin has there. But first off, I guess just who are you watching? Who do you think really needs some redemption as we approach this racetrack this weekend? What is the thoughts here?
I'll get to that part in a little bit. I think
it takes time.
For me. This race is about 2 guys, 45 and 5.
Yep.
Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick. And, it's going to come down to executing on pit road and track position and keeping yourself with that track position and not making any mistakes. Really, and this happens a lot at the beginning of the year. We see a lot more mistakes on pit road than we do at the end of the year. But this is as many as I remember seeing in a long time.
Yeah.
And I really think it's just because of the tolerance level of the errors that you can make is much smaller.
Yeah.
That time of the pit stop is so short that you're in disaster mode, on the verge of disaster all the time. Mm-hmm. And if you're not making those mistakes, you're probably not fast enough, to be honest with you. And when you're that fast, you're going to make those mistakes. So I just think that these guys run that wall better than anybody else. And I think that those will be the 2 guys to beat.
I'm gonna tell you how important it is to Kyle Larson. They got him running all 3 races this weekend.
I'd run all 3 if I was that good too.
That's what you said on the broadcast.
I would definitely be running all 3 if I was gonna pick. I mean, you want to pick races that you think you can win, hands down.
Yeah.
And I mean, so now he's gonna have the most laps out of everybody, and that matters. It just does. They don't get as many laps as they used to. So I think you say that. I think there's redemption coming. The 12 needs to get redemption at Homestead, because he had it going into 3, and by middle of 3 and 4 last year, he lost it, and that was a big moment. I think there's a little bit of get back that he probably feels like he needs to for his group. You talk about like the guys that need to make runs. Did you know that? So Bubba's 11th in points right now. Ty Dillon's 26, right? That's only 30 points that separates them.
Yeah.
So like, as the races go on and people win and things start moving, that 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th spot, it's looking like it's going to be super tight right now.
I'm really concerned about Brad Keselowski.
Yeah.
They're buried in the points. Nothing real flashy about the speed side of things. Don't qualify good. and I'm worried about the 19 car.
Yeah. The only thing good about Brad is the 60 and Ryan Preece and the 17 and Chris Buescher have shown flashes. So hopefully he can lean on them to try and get.
He definitely hasn't flashed much as far as speed and being up in the front of the pack. I think Preece has been.
It's been surprisingly really fast.
Preece has been really good, and that's what they needed this weekend was a finish. Preece finished third.
Yeah, top 5.
Even Suarez. I mean, we got to give a shout out to Suarez. I mean, they put themselves in that 2-tire strategy in the middle of the race too, and kept the track position. Wound up with a second place, and AJ Allmendinger finished 8th. He was up in the top 10 the whole day.
Nice redemption for Suarez after what happened in Phoenix. Certainly that was disappointing for that team. But as I referenced, the championship used to be determined at Homestead-Miami Speedway for many, many years, including the year that our guy won here in 2014. So what do you remember about that day? And can you just break down your race specifically?
Well, we went into the weekend and actually struggled in practice, and Jimmy Johnson was a huge help. I remember him standing in my holler eating an apple after every practice. He would stand there. What do you need?
Really?
How's it going? What's the struggle here? But we had the relationship with the Hendrick group at that time, and so Jimmy was a big help, and we worked our way through getting the car better. And by the time we got to the race, had a great car, and came down to strategy at the end. And we were able to put tires on and drive from, I think, 11th or so to come back and take the lead on this next to last restart. So we had fast cars all year. We didn't win as many races that year as we probably should have. But the emotion of winning that championship, especially the first year, that's why I went to Stewart-Haas, was to have a chance to win a championship. And I think when you talk about Jimmy, I felt like you needed to have an H in your equation. With the Hendrick side of things and have that relationship, and they had that. And I thought that at that time, that was the only way that you were going to win a championship, was to be in something that they supported and have those engines in the car with the Chevrolets and everything that they did. So we were able to do that and put ourselves in position to win a lot of races over the next several years. And I think. Honestly, I think if you stick with the Chevrolet side of things and you stick with that relationship, I think you probably win more races and probably than we actually did in the end. So it was that was a great year. That relationship helped a lot. Rodney did a great job with the cars, and we put so much time and effort in at Stewart-Haas Racing. With everything that we did, and it paid off.
The effort and the time. The way that the 4 team was constructed, people were mad, but they were mad. Like, it was just new. It was just different. Like, what they were doing was different than what we had been doing.
Changed the culture.
It changed. It was a culture change at SHR. And then once we saw the result, everyone was bought in.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone was like, no, we gotta... Oh, do I need to do this little extra thing here, or make sure that this bowl is?
Quit asking, just do it. That was the answer eventually.
Yeah, eventually it's like, why are you asking me? You know you got to do it. So everyone locked in, and the attention to detail in 2014 on all 4 of our cars.
It really every year from there forward. I mean, it changed the culture at Stewart-Haas, and that's really why that car stuck out, because the attention to details was never missed. Whether it was top to bottom, it was never missed, and there was always an effort to push things forward, to find that gray area, to push the limits, and that's what it takes to win. And that's no different today than it was then. It's kind of like this stopping in somebody else's pit stall, right? Yeah. There's a gray area in this rule book. No matter how many rules there are, there's a gray area in that book that you can work through to find an advantage. And they did a great job of pushing. We pushed everything.
It got to the point. It got to the point to where, like, we were so hungry to win a championship that you didn't want to let the person next to you that was working on this thing down. Like, that's really what it came down to. Is like, no one wanted to let each other down or be the reason that we didn't win the championship. And we felt like when Kevin got there that year, unequivocally, we should win the championship.
Well, I hope we see some more championship races there.
I was just about to say, it obviously hosted that championship race for many years. A lot of great events for that final
I don't think it should be every year.
Yeah.
I still, you know,
like
Move it around.
everybody's heard me several times that championship race should rotate, and this should be
Yep.
one of the stops.
There you go. We can put it on the done committee. We
Yeah,
need to put
that's next week's. Don't get too many things.
too many items.
Don't get lost
for one
in the
week.
sauce. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
One
there
at
you
a
go.
time.
But we look forward, obviously, though, to the weekend out there in Miami. You were already in Miami last week. What were you doing?
Yeah, so we were promoting the event,
Okay.
Straight Talk Wireless 400. So it's going to be
Nice.
a good time. We were doing some stuff with Todd Gillen. We went to the Heat game. We did some content with Guillermo, the track president at the racetrack, and then Ross came in for it was like a influencer media day. The next day, so we were putting people through the NASCAR experience cars, so they're
That's
able
cool.
to get their first time like at the track, on the track, which is always really cool. And when someone gets out and they're like, "Oh my
First
god,"
time,
and you're like, "Yeah, you were going 140." Like imagine going like 195.
Yeah.
Like so, it's pretty cool to see everyone get out and always enjoy that.
You meet some cool influencers.
We always, yeah. Bradley Chubb was out there. He's a Dolphins football player, so he was cool.
Nice.
There's a bunch of people that just come through. It's really a good thing. I wish more tracks did it because I think it would expose us to the community that our tracks are at.
It is a good
And I
idea.
think that's a
to
really
host those
important thing.
events. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the preview of Miami. Next up is the social sips for our friend Mamba here. I know you got some pretty good ones on this list.
Ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ear. Or Kevin's eyes, one or the other, because he typically doesn't look at me when I do all this. Now, let's get it fired off here. We had we showed it a little bit. We talked about it a little bit, I think. But the Thunderbirds did the flyover at Vegas. Holy smokes.
Wild. Yeah.
It was wild. Kevin, you said that you were making your way to the booth at this time.
Well,
and
we
you
were
about
running.
got knocked off the truck.
Yeah, we were running to the booth about the time they were flying over, about right here, and we ate the vapor trail as we walked into the booth.
Good Bobby P.
Yeah,
There you go. Two different looks at it. It was impressive.
it was low, and that wasn't even the best one. Everybody saw this one coming. They came the other direction from the back of the grandstands with the first four, and then they had two following
Oh my.
to surprise you, and it was just as low. But it was a pretty epic flyover.
I'm going to tell you what.
Timed perfectly.
Last year at Homestead, when I pop out on stage for driver intros, they didn't tell me they were doing a flyover. And they rang the bell like that. They were low, and I about lost it because I was not expecting
Not
it.
prepared.
The fire is going off, and I'm like, "What is going on?" I was scared. It scared.
Thought
the
they were
shit out
dropping
of
a
me.
bomb on you.
It scared me bad. So no, I love
It was
the
pretty
flyovers.
awesome.
Me too. The
Well, our-
flyover is still one of my favorite parts of the whole pre-race.
Yeah, like our Wasserman and NASCAR Experience Group, they nail the flyover. Like when you watch other sports try to do a flyover, and then you watch us, like our people nail it to where like it's within seconds of the music,
yep.
like at the right
Conclusion
point.
of the
Yeah,
anthem.
a lot of other people miss it by a lot. So shout out to them. All right, Denny Hamlin. If you're on social media, he's always on social media. He won $126,000, apparently, allegedly, at a slot pull. Kevin, you like his outfit in this win, or what do you think?
I thought Christmas was over, but he definitely carried over his ugly sweater from his Christmas party to wear at the casino. But
He's saying use your money to buy a new sweater.
it probably costs a lot of money. But Denny was definitely on a heater. It seemed like in the casino this weekend because he was hitting that buffalo.
He
I have never won money at a casino.
Really?
I
It was
won
the buffalo
10,
machine.
It was,
10
it was the
cents
Buffalo machine.
once on a slot machine. That's it. I've never won.
Kevin, have you ever won much at the casinos?
I've won. I won in Dover one time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, I
Money?
won like $8,000 or $9,000 on a
That's-
slot machine.
that's
I'd be
pretty
pretty
good.
excited about that.
Yeah, we were splitting it with a friend, and I would put a little in, he'd put a little in, and we'd make a poll because we were both too cheap to just do it on our own.
Yeah.
So split the pot.
Have you won? Big
Yeah,
time?
Chase Briscoe at the Chili Bowl a few years ago. They
Oh.
were playing at a table, cards at a table, and he's like, "Sit down here." Nick. So I got there, and I guess I started winning, and he gave me like $100 to put in a slot machine. I'm like, "Dude, whatever. And I'm like, all right, Chase, like I'm done. Like I'm gonna go home. He's like, no, we're winning. Sit back down. Give me another $100. That $100
Really?
got down to $4, and then it went to $3,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then Chase gave me $500 of that.
I hate
$3,500,
gambling.
and I took the tax.
Yeah.
I like to gamble if somebody will give me their money.
Yeah, that's
And I
different.
can gamble it the way I want to gamble and not have to worry about losing it. But
Yeah.
all I do when I gamble with my money is try to worry about not losing,
Yeah,
and then I lose.
you can't do it that way.
No.
You gotta go to win.
That does not work. When you're worried about losing, you lose.
That's right.
You counting cards? You know how to do
No,
that?
I'm not Rayman. I can't.
Yeah.
No. I can barely count with
Much
what I
less.
got going
Okay,
on right now.
fair.
I can't count cards. So this weekend too, John Hunter Nemechek had the Backstreet Boys on his car, which I thought was really cool. What I didn't know they were gonna have was Travis Mack, his crew
Sing
chief,
along.
doing a little karaoke sing along
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. This is
with the Family
yep.
Dollar Tree in the background, looking. Where's Jimmy? Why isn't Jimmy a part of this?
I'm sure he just
Would you be a
declined.
part
Maybe.
of this?
I feel like someone should have been. T-Mac is
What's in
putting
his
the team on
hand?
his-
Is that a Discman?
it's
Okay.
a CD player.
CD
Like
player.
Yeah, the old
All right.
CD player.
I can't remember what the original video was. I know they had the white outfits on. But right, is this a spin-off of the music video?
No, I think it was just like
Their own
yeah,
thing?
I think
There you go. What do you say, Kevin?
Look at this face.
He's got that look on his face. We know that look.
Oh,
It
man.
means not impressed.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old.
Come on, Boomer, have some fun.
I don't know that I would have advised my guys to do that.
There you go.
I think that lives forever, unfortunately.
On the internet, on
Forever
the
and ever.
interwebs.
Yeah.
T-Mac, way to
Here
be a
on the
team player,
Sips.
brother. I appreciated it. I
You
thought it
can't
was
say
fun.
no next time.
Listen, let's dive off into the mailbag. We had a really good question from Ethan and Chloe Reinhardt. The question is for all of us. What is your favorite Kevin Harvick paint scheme and why? We love y'all. Yours truly, Ethan and Chloe.
That's sweet.
Appreciate you.
We had
Yeah.
a lot of good paint schemes. I think for me, I love the Reese's cars. I just think that they were bright, simple, clean,
They were
always
cool.
stuck out like a sore thumb. You could pick them up anywhere on the racetrack.
Mhm.
But it's hard to beat just a standard, old school Budweiser scheme.
There you go.
The 29 or the 401. 'Cause it was
Either one.
They were kind of the same, actually.
Yeah,
They kind of
I mean,
crossed over.
There's just bright, and even Busch. You know, when we came out with the original Busch paint scheme, and it was just Busch. The beer companies just, and Anheuser-Busch in general, just had the paint schemes just look better because of the brands, and the brands are immediately recognizable. But just those paint schemes that we came up through the years were awesome.
Yeah, iconic brands. What about you?
I picked one from 2020 when you won at the Brickyard. You won 9 races that year, I might add. It was the July 4 patriotic Busch Light scheme. And it was at Indianapolis. It looked really sharp.
I have that car.
I love all patriotic things. So
You kept
yeah.
it?
Yeah, I've got all my Brickyard win cars.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, you have the car.
Yeah, Richard Childress gave me my car from the 2003 Brickyard win. He gave it to me as a retirement gift.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Yeah, so
Knew
they're
that.
actually. I actually talked to Richard a couple weeks ago because he wanted to take mine and Dale's Brickyard cars together, and they're going to live in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum.
Hell
I guess they
yeah.
did a remodel.
That's awesome.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
That'd be cool.
So they're going to take those cars there. But when I retired, Stuart Haas gave me completely restored both Brickyard cars.
That's sick.
That is really, I'm glad I picked that one then.
Yeah, so I have all three.
That's awesome. I've always I mean, it's kind of an iconic brand that we had, but like the AC Delco cars,
Yeah.
the blue is like, if you drove that car, you were a winner.
Yeah.
Like only winners drove the AC Delco car. That was just how it went. I remember that as a kid. And then there was one that we never had for Budweiser, but there was World Cup was going on in 14, I think it was, and there was a gold Budweiser. They were doing.
Oh,
there was
yeah.
Oh my God, this thing was sexy. It was so cool looking. I don't
Gold
think
car.
we ever raced it. I think it just popped I think it was a rendering, or maybe we raced a version of it, but the gold one, that was sick.
Yeah.
That
Lots
was cool.
to choose from.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And the Reese's ones.
We had
were always
great
cool.
brands though.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Jimmy John cars were always clean and simple.
Yeah.
yeah.
The Goodwrench cars were clean and simple
Mobile.
too.
A lot of great mobile
Yeah.
schemes.
When we
Good
did
question.
mobile with the Pegasus on it, that's always was my
Yeah,
favorite.
it got way better at the end when they
Yeah.
brought the Pegasus back.
Yeah, the Pegasus. Mobile, keep doing the Pegasus. It's fire.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. That is Mamba's Social Sips. Make sure to leave us a voicemail, 805-317-4175. And if you want to send us a mailbag for the email, harvickhappyhour4@gmail.com.
There you have it. I really liked that question this week. Good
was a good
stuff.
one.
Keep it coming. Time now for our last call here on Happy Hour.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario, new customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/audio. NASCAR is not responsible for this promotion and used under license.
So before we get into one of the most important parts of the show where we give our picks for this week, let's take a look at the best bet of the weekend, courtesy of DraftKings.
DraftKings. I mentioned earlier that Josh Berry saved my DraftKings team this week in our fantasy league that we have with everybody from Fox. So definitely bailed me out of the hole. But it also was plus 4,000 for a DraftKings bet.
That's insane.
And I would say that there were probably some people that had Josh Berry because he's run so well. But man, you could have knocked it out of the park with Josh this weekend if you had the guts to put a little bit of money on him. But take the checkered flag with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Harvick. That's code Harvick for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
There you have it. And the crown was Josh Berry's this past weekend. It's time now to take a look at his burnout and give us a grade here.
So the best part of this burnout was not even the burnout. The best part of this was when his crew came running out through the infield. And this is already by the start-finish line, but his crew came running out towards the start-finish line and started to run backwards because Josh left him hanging.
Yeah, for the
he
high
just
fives.
drove by him like, hey.
I was wondering why the camera kept picking him up in different spots.
Yeah.
I was like, where's everyone going?
Yeah, so finally the camera guys were like, hey, keep coming. He's going to come back. No, please, crew guys, come out here so that we can have the celebration out here. And he eventually, he did a Polish victory lap there, waved to the fans, and he told me on the victory lap this morning he really needed that time to gather his emotions, but also just take everything in.
Yeah.
Try to just be a part of everything that's going on. I mean, I can't imagine the emotion that was running through his mind with everything that he's been through, and now to be able to see him hugging his wife right there, but to be able to be a Cup winner and be at that top level of stock car racing and finally achieve that goal. There's nothing else that's more of a relief than getting that first win.
And the way he did it in a
very impressive.
Really classic, like going up and taking the win, like
just
passing
did it.
Just did it. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't
didn't
like
fall into it.
Yeah, it didn't fall into it. It wasn't like
No.
super good strategy that changed anything.
No.
It was just going off there and
Yeah.
putting on the back.
Yeah.
That was
Absolutely.
sick. I love it.
Yeah, just a traditional path through the sport too, which I love, like hard-earned, like we talked
Yeah,
about.
he's defied the odds.
Yes, he has.
And the theory that you have to have money
Mhm.
and you have to. There's no path for talent, and he's
Proving that
100% made the hard path here
Mhm.
and made it off of talent and success.
One of the
Yeah.
last places that you can just work really hard and the result will come if you just keep at it. Is
another Cars Tour champion.
And
There you go. If you work really hard, Mamba, you might improve your score here because we are
Wow.
taking a look
Ooh,
Wow.
that was below the
point
knees.
That was
standings.
low.
Kevin
She
is
might have just kicked
leading.
you right in the nuts, actually. I mean, that was
I
pretty
Sorry.
bad.
hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Kevin, you're leading the group at 19. I got 15. Mamba at a 9, solid 9.
Yep. Looks like I'm starting to pull away.
I know. Damn it. All right.
You didn't get any points. You didn't get any points this week.
Doesn't matter. I'm still winning.
You're still
You're
winning.
not pulling away. She's reeling you in.
No. Well, I'm still behind.
I was
though.
just talking about you.
Oh, okay. Well,
You're getting further behind.
we're going for wins, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
going for wins. All right.
Yeah.
Which brings me to this. I think I might know who you're picking this weekend based on what you said earlier, but what do you say?
I think I'm going to go with the 5.
I
Dang.
knew it.
And that's why I like to pick first because I am the leader in the clubhouse. So that's how I get to pick first, right?
I always let you pick
I
first.
honestly
That's
think it
not
should.
true.
I think
Yes,
it should
I
go the
do.
other way because I need the most points. So
Do
I
you
should.
want
You
the
don't want to
5?
get
No,
left
no,
with
no,
that
no.
low
I'll give
hanging
you the
fruit.
5.
No, I don't want. No, I don't want a 5.
Okay. I'll take the 5.
I'm taking Reddick. Well, you talked about him too, but I already had him
Yeah.
down. I
Now
think
what, big
Tyler
boy?
Reddick. Yeah, what now, Mr. 9?
Let's see here.
9 points, that is.
Yeah, I need something. I need one.
You need a
that-
miracle.
Not a
Need a
miracle.
miracle.
After we pick the 5 and the 45, you need a miracle. So you can either pick the 5 or the 45, or you can
You know what?
lose points.
You know what? I think that they've been fast so far this
Oh,
year. They're
boy.
fast this week. They led some laps. Give me Bubba
I
Wallace
knew
in the
that.
23.
All right. I like that pick. These are solid, guys.
Okay.
Very good. We'll have to see how they all
what's going to
fare.
happen is the 45 and the 5 are going to be doing their thing together, and the 23 is just going to.
It'll be one of them. I mean, you can't pass them once they get up next to the fence and get ripping the wall like they do. You can't get by them.
You're right, but they're both liable to do a big slide job and make 8 tires better than 4. So
well, here's the other thing too, and to his point, getting in these positions where you feel like it's your day and you got to make it happen right now. Not where Larson was last year. Reddick made it happen and wound up winning the race somehow, some way, going into turn 3 last year to win that race. But it's different when you're in a position to where you haven't won and you know that you're going to a racetrack where you should win.
Yep.
And everybody that's won has a B in their name.
I know. Isn't that funny?
I saw that NASCAR.
Byron,
Fox.
Bell.
Yeah, now it'll be Bubba.
Or Bowman.
No, but
we got a few more B's out there.
Yeah, this one will be Bubba.
Byron, Bell. It's like a song.
Barry. I know it is. It's like a song.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't sing it.
He was about to start. Don't do it.
Byron, Bell.
It sounds a lot like maybe we could get Travis Mack to sing it.
Yes, his next single.
We could
the B song.
create some AI music, and maybe Travis will be in our video.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
There you go. The B's.
Or we could have you up here.
No.
I'll come up with the beat if you come up with the dance.
Oh my
Fair,
heavens!
but you got to do the dance too.
Hey,
No.
I got another B for you, and
that?
it's Bush.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch. That's your next interview,
It
right?
is. I'm excited about the Kyle Busch interview. Yeah, another B. So you forgot about him.
No, but the way she just did that was.
You guys
She's a
got to give me
professional.
credit. I do pretty good at
She's
the
a professional.
transitions from time to time.
That
She
was fire.
she does pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just taking up space.
But this is an extension of your interview we
It
saw
is.
over the weekend, which was excellent, by the way.
We saw the little piece of it over the weekend with Kyle Busch, and it got much more in depth as we spent about 40 minutes with Kyle. And he was in a great mood, very open about where he was as dad, legend car racer, where he was with his most interesting thing he said was about Carson Hocevar.
Really?
He's not a huge fan.
Shocker.
Not a huge fan. So I hope everybody give it a listen. I think you'll enjoy it.
Give yourself some credit, though. It's the interviewer that can get something good out of him. That's what I've seen.
I like to be fair. I still feel like I'm pro driver. So I want to put these guys. I want them to be open, but I also, want to be as fair as possible. But still not. I mean, still have to. They know I'm going to ask them the hard questions.
Of course, you have to. But yeah, you did a good job.
Yeah,
I thought so. Anyways, we look forward to the full version of that this Thursday. So everyone, subscribe on YouTube wherever you get your podcasts. Rate us 5 stars. Leave a word. Leave a voicemail. Leave some fashion tips for Mamba. We don't know. We'll see you guys. Homestead-Miami.